Good morning and welcome to another series in the CBD Wellness podcast. Today we have the lovely Helen on from Orange Bloom Yoga. So please introduce yourself.
Hey, so I'm Helen from Orange Bloom Yoga. I run a little yoga and sort of wellness studio in Hazel Grove. And our main ethos is to make yoga and wellness fully inclusive to everybody. So we focus on beginners, all types of bodies, anybody with injuries or illnesses as well. We want to get everybody feeling the benefits of yoga. We also do children's yoga, we do family yoga, and we've recently introduced our sort of menopause specialism as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we met, gosh, it's about 18 months ago now. It was before crazy lockdown, wasn't it?
Yes, I think I was pregnant at the
You
time.
were, yes.
Yeah.
And we had a really good conversation, and that's how I got to know you, because of your interest in CBD and how it's helped you. But obviously at the time it was really frustrating because I knew you wanted to try the products, but we didn't want to because you were pregnant. And then it's been lovely to see you have your wonderful family, and then how you've coped through lockdown, and then hopefully we're emerging out the other end. So the question I'd probably ask is, how did you get into yoga? Is it something that you've always done, or is it something you fell upon?
So I've done it probably since I was about 18. Just discovered it at uni, and I was really big into my sport. So I did a lot of running, did the hurdles, did relay and things like that. So wanted to be more flexible. So I just went at it for a purely physical perspective. And then that probably carried on for probably about 5-6 years. And then as I got into sort of my later 20s, and life became more challenging, as it does, moved up to Manchester. I found a yoga teacher that was very much into body, mind and spirit. And then she got me into the whole sort of just the wholeness of yoga and how it can help you.
Yeah.
And I was in a very stressful job, and it was life-changing, really. It gave me somewhere to just be calm, to move my body, because I'm not very good at sitting in meditation. I'm a very active person. I'm an over-functioner. So it gave me that element, but it then also gave me the mindfulness and pretty much the moving meditation.
Yeah.
And then about 8 years ago, I just thought, I really want to share this. This is brilliant. Why are we not all doing this? So I went off with the British Wheel of Yoga and it was a 3-year course.
Wow.
So I had to do all my sort of anatomy, physiology, the history of yoga and sort of all of that. And it's a constant learning. I could be 90 and probably still not know everything. But yes, I qualified. And then actually just after I had my first baby boy, I got the opportunity to open my little studio. So he was 4 months old when I got the opportunity. So it was, do I not? And I thought, well, what the hell? And he was there with me, opening it up, cleaning, hoovering, making a mess.
And you've got such a really loyal group of people now, haven't you? And I can see it growing as well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So that was three years ago we launched the studio. We've moved since, but obviously we moved during COVID. So we got into our new place on the Saturday, and then on the Monday we were locked down.
Or we just make it, but it's coming out now. We're all doing it, isn't it? But you've done really well, kind of pivoting your business into doing lots of online as well, so people still have access. And for me, it resonates with me. I'm not a sitter, as you probably know. I don't sit at all, and I class my running as my active meditation. And I know when I have done yoga for a sustained period, the difference in my body is ridiculous. I'm not very good at it because I'm fantastic at running, but everything's a bit stiff. But the more you do it, it's like anything, the better you get at it, don't you?
Yeah, and I always say to my students, I am not a flexible person. I am 100% not flexible. I'm naturally quite strong, probably like you are, because I do a lot of running and I've done weightlifting, but flexibility does not come naturally to me. I couldn't touch my toes when I first started teaching, like doing my teacher qualification, but I knew that wasn't important. I didn't have to touch my toes. It just had to be sort of moving and doing it.
I think that's the thing with me. I know when me and my husband started doing yoga a while ago, the gym that I used to go to had a fantastic yoga teacher there, and it was part of our membership, and we go once a week. And the noises that me and my husband would make, you could tell we were the oldest in the class, because, and sometimes we could get into a position, it's like, right, I can't get out of this now without grunting or making the most strangest noises ever. But then we'd fall about laughing, you know, because it was, I think that's what it is. It doesn't have to be really serious either, does it?
No, God, no. And I have been to some really serious, and I've been to silent yoga and stuff like that, which has been lovely. And I've done yoga retreats where it's all very, you know, focused. But I like to have a giggle, and so we laugh in our classes, and you know, I do make little jokes and things, and
you have to. I mean, that's the thing. It's finding your audience, and I know when I've been to yoga classes, but sometimes the mood dictates itself. Some days it can be a very somber one, because the whole group's feeling it, and other times it can be a really giggly one. It just, I think it grows with the group, doesn't it? So
yeah, definitely. I've done pregnancy classes that have all been very zen, and you know, mummies and babies in bellies, it's all very lovely. And then I've gone off and then done a flow class where it's all a bunch of runners, and we're laughing because everybody's grunting and nobody can get in anywhere near the positions that they want to.
Yeah, with all our tight ankles and hips from running. So
exactly. So I love the variation, you know, and like you say, the room just, it decides itself usually.
Yeah, and it's all about the energy, isn't it? Now we were discussing doing, this is kind of where it links into why I wanted to join, because I know that you're a great believer in CBD, and we were planning before, well, a year ago, to come and do a CBD and Yoga day, weren't we? And well, we're still waiting, aren't we? So,
cannot wait to get back in there and get on it.
So out of interest, and obviously our connection is through that, you knew CBD before you'd met me, and I know that you've always been involved in it, and now obviously you're a great ambassador for my product. So what interested you in CBD? I know because there's lots of things that link CBD and yoga together, and how they both complement each other. So what was your thought process in trying CBD, and how's it helped you?
Well, it's interesting because I found CBD at the Yoga show, which sadly isn't on this year and wasn't obviously on last year either. It was a big exhibition where loads of people come, and there was a company there just talking about CBD oil. So I had a little try, and because they did the tea there, and they talked about it, and I thought, well, that's really interesting. And then sort of simultaneously, I was listening to an audio book called The Body Keeps Score.
Oh, I've not heard that one.
Really interesting. It's just talking about how we manifest physically sometimes what we feel emotionally.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Really good book, and linking lots of different illnesses to different sort of trauma in your life. But he also talked a lot about inflammation, and that how stress could cause inflammation. And then, as we know, inflammation is one of the root causes of
everything, of most disease, most illness, the root cause. And interestingly enough, we're talking about COVID, that is mainly, and a lot of people struggling with long COVID, is generally because they're full of inflammation. You look at most autoimmune conditions, inflammation. You look at, like you say, people struggling with stress, they're full of inflammation. Too much exercise, inflammation. And if we can reduce that inflammation, and there's lots of other ways of doing it, not just CBD, it starts to help you thrive, doesn't it?
Exactly. So, and I saw that link between the CBD oil and then what yoga does. You know, you're moving, so you're keeping on an energetic level, you're keeping everything moving to reduce inflammation. And on a sort of a mental and emotional level, you're releasing all of that, negativity, all that stress. So
breath work.
Breath work as well, making a bit of room in the body so you're not, again, causing inflammation. So I did try it, enjoyed it, and then obviously got pregnant, so came off just to be safe. And then obviously met you. And then wasn't pregnant anymore, and after having Monroe, I was quite stiff. I'd obviously had tried to do yoga through pregnancy, but I was very big at the end, so it was becoming more difficult.
You were blooming.
Yeah, I was very blue. I was blooming, very blooming. Bless him, he was a baby. And And so, yeah, so I tried it mostly for the physical, sort of the aches and the general pains. But then also, as sort of time went on and the business grew, I wasn't sleeping as well either, just because,
Life.
mind being away from you, and just like stressing over the littlest, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, oh, did I pay that invoice? And I've run a bit myself before, so it was all new. And taking it before bed has been sort of just really, again, almost as transformative as yoga. It was just like, oh, I can find this level of it's calm.
That's kind of the reason why I take it for the sleep, to reduce the stress, the anxiety, and then for my sports recovery. It's really interesting. But I think this is what I always say: CBD is not a standalone thing. It's part of that wellness journey. It's a part of yoga, mindfulness, meditation, Reiki, aromatherapy, whatever it is that you find, healthy eating, exercise, whatever it is that you find to bring yourself into a healthy environment, both mentally and physically. It can only be a good thing. And this is why I love connecting with, and I hate the word alternative therapies. Why can we not just call them therapies? They're not, just because we're not shoving pills down us doesn't mean, and I think that's the thing. And for some people, CBD is great. And for me and for you, it obviously works. And I always say to people, try it. And if it works, stay with it. And if it doesn't, but add it in and try it. Like I tried Reiki. I tried it, I liked it, not for me. But I love Indian head massage. Oh my God, that does it for me.
Yeah.
Does it for me. But also going for a run when I'm proper stressed out, going for a run in the woods does it, whereas somebody else may go, no, I'm doing my yoga and my breath work today. And it's just about finding what works for you and your personality, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think like wellness, or the wellness word, it's almost become a bit of a dirty word recently.
It's like the word detox.
Yeah. Wellness, and you've got to be well. And I was listening to an interesting podcast that said, wellness isn't prescriptive. You can't just do one thing and be well. You have to do whatever works for you, a collection of things. Like you say, I run, I do yoga, I take CBD oil, I don't eat too much dairy or gluten because that interferes with me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to prescribe any of that for anybody else. Just say, well, give it a try.
I always think of it as like certain sections. You've got your body, your physical body, and how you move it. I think always creates one area, what you fuel your body with, and then what your mind does. And I always think of it like this triangle. And some bits we get, don't get me wrong. Last night, I decided it was really good fun to drink almost a pint of wine after my dinner. So of course, but my dinner was, wholesome and whole foods, and I don't eat rubbish, but I do enjoy a pint of wine. Not every night, but that's the yin with the yang, isn't it? And then you go, but the rest of the week I'm grey, and but I also have a little bit of chocolate. But then sometimes I will get stressed, and then I'll go, right, I need to go and do my meditation or my mindfulness, or go for a run, fill my body with good food. And I think it's about finding that balance that works for each person. We all have our vices. We'd be wrong to say that we didn't. Some people love shopping or bingo. I don't know why bingo's come into my head, but gambling, or probably because the Grand National was on. But we all have our own little things that we do, and even I think the food that we have within our grasp, even organic food these days, is not nutritionally as good as it was 50, 60 years ago because of the ground. And I think anything that we can do to help ourselves improve and thrive. I still believe that we were never put on this earth to live in purgatory. You're supposed to enjoy everything. And I'm not saying that you need to be permanently happy, just there are ways and means of thriving, should we say.
Exactly, yeah. We don't just need to survive. We can thrive. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I nailed a pizza on Thursday, and then had a beer on Saturday.
Not a pint.
No, it was half a pint. So, but I do have a very little baby who is allergic to sleep. So at the minute,
I've lost you, Helen. Oh, have we lost you? Are we back in the room? Oh, I've lost you. There you are. You're back.
There we go. I'm back.
So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, because it's something that's very close to my heart, because I am actually 21, but I found a legal document that told me otherwise, and my body is telling me otherwise. I'm not 21 anymore. And you have started with your yoga, your menopause group, which I think when you get to a lady of a certain age, it affects all of us in loads of different ways. And I have lots of clients that use my products, and also you have lots of your clients that use, and I just think there's a great connection there. So I'd love to hear more about it, because there's been so much talk in your group, hasn't there, of women struggling?
It's just been amazing. And I have had the pleasure and honour of going to, well, I didn't go anywhere, it was all via Zoom, but I did a menopause yoga course with the lovely Petra, who has been leading the way for ladies in menopause for, God, probably 30 odd years, although she doesn't look a day over 21 like yourself. And it was just an amazing course of how to use yoga, the physical yoga, but also meditation, mindfulness, and breathing. We call it pranayama.
Yeah.
To help with the symptoms of menopause, and also peri-menopause. You know, I'm 38, so I'm a slightly older mom, which many of us are now. And you can start to feel the effects of perimenopause in, you know, your mid-30s, some even earlier, but sort of late 30s to 40s. You can start to feel the changes, the drop in estrogen. And I have definitely started to notice little things that I was maybe just putting down to something, you know, I'm tired, I've got a baby. And then actually when I did the course, I started to realise, maybe this is, my body is now starting to transition.
I'm definitely in that sense that I think I started around 42, and it was, well, obviously grey hair was the first indicator for me, and it's I'm actually covering it up now, but massively aware now that we've not been in the hairdressers for 800 weeks, or that's how long it feels. This was a fringe originally, but and the thing that I noticed, that when I stopped taking CBD, because I always took CBD for my anxiety, that I decided at the beginning of lockdown I would see what effect it would have to stop in taking it. Now I noticed my anxiety was great, and there's reasons for that, but oh my goodness, the perimenopause, hot sweats, dear God, they came on me. So it'd been obviously not masking it, but it'd been keeping those symptoms at bay. And I'd wake up like I'd literally done a 10k run, and then I got these spots, and then the mood swings. Oh dear God, my husband couldn't live with me. And after about a week or 10 days, I'm not sure whether it was me thinking, have I got COVID because I'm sweating? You know, literally sweating. I was like, I think I even put that on your poll. You said I was as hot as a jacket potato at night. Literally, if you cut me open, steam would have come out of me, but only at night. I'd get in bed a normal temperature, and within 15 minutes, and the kids actually joke because they'd come in for a cuddle with mum to get warm because I couldn't have the heating on. And I was like, I can't do this. So I went back on the CBD, and luckily within about a week, it all settled down. And don't get me wrong, certain times of the month, I have 1 or 2 nights where it peaks. But if that was a touch of it, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not having that. So, and it's interesting because you said you feel cold. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I'm a very cold person, and I've had sort of low blood pressure and things like that in the past. So yeah, I suffer from sort of cold hands and cold feet a lot.
And what are your clients mainly coming to you with? What are the main issues or symptoms that they have? Mine tend to be, it's generally the hot sweats and the mood and anxiety. Those are the 3 that my clients come to me. What do you tend to get with your clients?
The anxiety is a huge one. I think particularly because a lot of the ladies I'm working with are sort of between sort of mid-30s and say up to sort of 50s. They're approaching or going through the perimenopause, and a lot of them haven't even thought about it. I did a session last night, a menopause class, and one of the ladies was 46. She had 2 very young children. She'd had her second at sort of 42. And she said she just hadn't thought about it. She was cracking on, and then all of a sudden she realised, well, I haven't really had regular periods, I'm hormonal, I'm just angry sometimes for no reason. And then when she sat down and had a bit of self-reflection, she was like, do you know what, I'm 46, this is probably
possibly, yeah. And I don't think it's something that we discuss, like we discuss with our mums when we hit our periods, when we're, you know, young girls. But my mum has never sat with me, sorry, my dog's coming to join in now, and discuss peri-menopause. And actually, when I started with these hot sweats, I actually said to her, oh, what age were you? She said, oh, I was about your age when I started. And then that opened the conversation then of all these other weird and wacky symptoms, because some of the symptoms none of us really want to talk about, because we talk about the hot sweats and the mood swings, but we also don't talk about the intimate issues that gives us as well, because I don't know whether it's an English thing and it's massive. There's so much to it. And I didn't realise that this is something like 35 different symptoms, one of them being like ringing in your ears as well, which I was like, this is crazy.
It's all just mad. Like, and one of the surprising things for me was frozen shoulder. Frozen shoulder is one of the, like, I think 80 to 90% of the women I've spoken to that are now sort of in the menopause have had issues with their shoulder.
Really?
Frozen shoulder.
How interesting. Well, you know that I'm going to go off and research that now, don't you? So the reasons why. But we know one of the biggest things is joint pain and joint stiffness. Now, is that to do with, because of it'll all be down to the hormones, and how in 1 minute we should be doing this, and then we have a slight peak at a month. I think what happens is it does that, and our body's just going, what are you doing to me?
It goes all over the shop, and our estrogen goes through the floor, so then we lose all the happy hormones. But estrogen also does feed your body, so it keeps it lubricated.
Yeah.
And then also your other glands, like your adrenal glands, will work harder.
Yes, which is anxiety.
Yeah, missing estrogen, so then that causes anxiety. And then, you know, if we're stressed, which, you know, who isn't most of the time, it just exasperates it, and everything's working so much harder.
Absolutely. And that's probably why my products work so well with it, because it helps balance all of those things and almost goes around switching off. It helps things. It helps with temperature control, like you say, your adrenal glands. It helps with that feeling of mood boost. So I think the two things combined, we should maybe do a whole thing on that one day, but maybe we can put this on the group and let people make their own decisions. But
absolutely, yeah,
I just find the two things, and it's something that I need to get into more. I need to make an effort to come down to the studio and actually, when I can, come and do it, because I know how beneficial yoga is to my running. Just once a week. I don't have to be doing it all the time, just the once a week, the difference. And I notice things like in my thoracics, I have really tight back. It's just from running, and all the stupid crazy stuff that I do trying to leave out. It's all about getting a strong back. But because of that, I feel like I've got a pole up my back and it needs to loosen up again. And yoga's great for that, isn't it? So
yeah, it just keeps you, I love the word undulating spine, because I've got very stiff lower back from running and weightlifting, and also now picking up heavy toddlers. You just like, oh, you feel like you've got that belt on.
I was laughing because I was at my I had to go for an emergency chiropractor appointment with another running injury, and everything went, and then she got to my thoracics and she's like, it's just not going, it's stiff as a board. You know, and she's a strong lass that Sam Davies, you probably know her. She's very, very strong.
Yes,
yeah, and she knows my body. She fixes my body all the time. It's not going. That's a year of running in lockdown. So I need to stretch more, and I know how beneficial it is to me, not just physically but the mental switch off. Because I don't know about you, when I get in yoga, it's a bit like running, that my brain is full. I've got to do the shopping, I need to put the washing on, I need to email that client and at the end of it, I'm just thinking about my breath.
Yeah. It is, it's amazing. And like in my class yesterday, it was a menopause class, but often on Sundays I usually do a rest and restore class, so it's just very stretchy, very slow, but nice sort of slow flowing movement to keep everybody engaged. And I got a couple of messages afterwards, and one of the ladies like, I'm totally blissed out. One of the ladies had had a good cry because she was just so stressed and actually
holding it all
in, and then just letting it all go. Had a little cry and just said, I feel better now. I needed to.
I still think a good cry is good for you, because it's proven that it releases certain hormones, doesn't it? So
Absolutely. And like quite often on the yoga retreats that I've been to, so you're doing quite intense yoga for 2 or 3 days, there's not a dry eye in the place. Everybody's having a good week because you're in a safe space, you're moving, you're breathing, and you can just sort of let it all go. It's nice. Very.
And I think there's so much pressure put on women these days that we're supposed to be, you know, this amazing supergram Instagram model, then a super mum, super boss, super wife, super everything. Then we're supposed to cook like, I don't know, a chef, but then have the tidiest house like Mrs. Hinch. And you're like, hang on a minute, that ain't gonna happen. You know, and I am very real. It's like you see my running post that, you know, I always laugh about the Instagram yoga models that are all just beautiful, absolutely 20-year-olds where everything's where it's supposed to be. And I'm like, I bet your bedroom's dead scruffy. And I bet you're still living at home with your mum.
You've got to be. I mean, literally nobody has time. I put a post on yesterday about I just took like a minute in the kitchen to have a little breathe and a little stretch because I had a baby that wasn't eating, a toddler that wanted to eat everything. The house was a mess. I had about a million things to do. And I was just like, I'm just going to have a little stretch in the kitchen while they're kicking off. And that's, you know, I can't go out into the garden surrounded by my beautifully pruned plants, which I don't have, and you know, in the sunshine moving for an hour, because it's not life really.
No. Well, that's it. It's like that's why I started running. So I've always been I've been a personal trainer, I've always been into my fitness, but you know, it's like you have the kids and you cannot go out. And then as the kids were toddlers, I'd say I'm going for a bath, and I go for a bath, and then one of them would get in with me, then the other one would get in, then dad would shout, and it's like, what happened to my 10 minutes? Can't even do that. So I started running purely, this sounds dreadful, to get away from them. And I literally could run around the block. I'm a sprinter, so I can leg it to the end of the road dead fast, but then I'm broken. So to teach myself to run 10-15 kilometers has taken a lot of training. And I'd literally run around the block, and then I'd do a figure of 8. So I'd always only ever be half a kilometre from my house that I could always walk back. And the running got longer. But that is why I started running, was to have some time to myself that nobody could interrupt. And that sounds, in some ways, I feel really bad saying that, but actually I think it was my own preservation that needed me to allow myself to have my own time. That was me. I wasn't a mum. I wasn't somebody at work. I wasn't a daughter. I was just this woman running down the street, weeing her pants at the same time. So another joy of having children.
Just when I did this menopause course, actually the teacher Petra talked about how we have as women, we have this bowl of soup, and we keep dishing it out and dishing it out and dishing it out, especially when you have children. Not only when you have children, but very
more so,
you just keep dishing it out, and then you get into your later life and you realize your bowl's empty. It's like, where's all my soup gone?
Yeah.
So getting into the wellness, doing the yoga and the CBD oil and the running and meditation,
whatever it is,
all back up.
Yeah. And I it's funny because in January I had a tough time with my anxiety. I think everybody had a tough time in January. I think it was
hard month.
It was horrific, with lots of things going on, not just the way the world was, but you know, the dark. We'd had a horrible winter. It's post Christmas. It was just it was bleh. And normally when you'd go and do those things to cheer yourself up, which was, you know, meet your mate for a cup of tea or a coffee, or you'd go to the gym, and there was nothing to, and I really struggled. And what I did, I down tools really early because I was overworking, I was getting burnout, and I'd sit and play Sudoku because that's what I only do on holiday. I'm dead old fashioned. I had this like proper paper book. I have a proper paper book with a pencil, even a pencil. And I'd always take it on holiday because on holiday the kids are playing, and my sort of guilty pleasure was to sit and play Sudoku. It was the only time I had to do it. Oh, why am I only doing that on holiday? Why am I not giving myself time? So I felt very guilty at this. Switched the laptop off about 3-4 o'clock. The kids would come in, sort them out, and then I play Sudoku for an hour. Literally playing Sudoku for an hour. It's ace. And I did feel like I topped that bowl back up again. So as I'm saying, it doesn't have to be running. It could be crocheting. I've got loads of people I know are crocheting, colouring, whatever it is that floats your boat, and don't feel guilty about it. I think we all have mum guilt, woman guilt. We just have guilt, and we shouldn't feel guilty for living our lives and choosing to look after ourselves. And I think men are very good at looking after themselves, and I don't even want to call it being selfish. They are living their life and are entitled to it. As women, we don't do that, and we should do more of it.
The guilt is it's just like yesterday afternoon, I'd been looking after the boys all day. Dave had been doing bits of DIY because obviously we just moved house, so we'd need to get it done. And then I'd had enough. I'd had the boys 4 days pretty much to myself. And I just said to him, I need a break. You need the damn tools. You need to take them. I need to go away.
I need to do something.
I need to go and do something. So I went and cooked dinner, but that's again that I love cooking. So I went and made a gorgeous spag bowl, and I had the music on, and I was just relaxed.
Food,
And I had to turn off that little voice that was making me feel guilty, because I was like, there's nothing to feel guilty about. What? Shut up. Just stop talking.
It's so hard that. And I think that's maybe something that all women, as all humans, we should take away, that we shouldn't feel guilty. We're looking after ourselves. And
exactly, yeah. And my hubby always says, why you feel guilty? And I say, I'm feeling guilty because I'm going for a run and you're doing breakfast for the boys, but I need to get it in now before I go to work. And why do you feel guilty? He actually can't comprehend why I feel guilty. It's hilarious.
Well, maybe that's our sign off to say that we should all attempt to do more of looking after ourselves and switch that guilt voice off. And whether it's doing your yoga or your running or whatever it is, finding that thing that makes you fill your bowl back up again, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't get to a point where there's an empty bowl, because only you can fill it back up again. Well,
Helen, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and I can't wait to get to your studio. I will put all your links in this at the end. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.